This year saw a record number of anglers congregate at Withensea for the annual European Beach Open. It's a two-day match taking place over 60 miles of the East Yorkshire coast. The rules are quite simple. There's a minimum catch length for all species. The competitors can choose their own mark and can fish anywhere over the 6 hours each day. The prize table's heaving with awards and prizes in various categories. But it's the trophy they're all after. The title of European Beach Open champion will go to the angler with the largest weight, combining their best fish from each day. And this year the excitement's been heightened by a local car dealer offering this Peugeot 107 as the first prize. It meant this was one of the most valuable shore fishing matches ever staged. But howling winds and massive rollers welcomed the anglers. Whoever drove away the first prize would have definitely earned it.
So we're underway then, the 2013 European Beach Open. It may have started with humble beginnings with only 300 people fishing, but this time there are more than 1,000. The 20th year this event's taken place. It's going to be a hard weekend. The weather really hasn't done us any favours at all.
Down on the beach at Withensea, I caught up with a few of the early battlers.
So Rob, you fished quite a few of these. Just explain to us your sort of history with the Beach Open.
Yeah, I fished about 10 years back. I mean, every year it's been rough. I mean, today really, it's not a bad sea. You're holding bottom, it's not bad.
You're saying about holding bottom, so just explain to us what that means. Although it looks really rough, there's no toe to sort of...
No, there's no undercurrent which is going to the side, which means when you're casting, your legs just getting washed up straight away. You're actually holding the bottom where you're casting. Which is a good thing, really. So,
realistically, I mean, even with the sea looking like this, what do you think your chances of catching are today?
Bass, cod, whiting. I mean, I think they're the top three what are going to be caught today. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of flatties caught today. It's a bit rough for flatties. So, I mean, some days you get reports where people are moving down coast and they're saying now it's being caught up at Spurn and now it's being caught up at Hornsea out like that. And then when you get like a little 2-pound cod and you think you're in with a chance, and then all of a sudden people are racing into weighing with fish. So,
having been here for sort of, more than 10 years and fishing this so long, what do you think about the guys who are experiencing this for the first time?
Oh, it's a good, I mean, it's pity on the weather for them, like, but it's a good craft.
So Phil, first time you've ever been to this event, what's your feeling so far? The weather's not really looking after us very well, is it?
No, it's not. No, I mean, it's quite exciting to see so many people fishing. That's one of the main reasons for coming. Because I'm a family man, I've got 2 boys, it's sort of a bit of a family occasion as well to get away on holiday.
Yeah.
On holiday for the weekend.
And so you've brought the missus, you've brought the kids.
Yeah.
Your dad's here on the beach with you.
Dad's here.
Your mum made you a bacon sandwich this morning for breakfast.
She's up in the caravan doing breakfast, yeah.
So no pressure on you to win the event then?
No, none at all.
Well listen, very best of luck. I hope you don't get too freezing cold and soaking wet, and maybe we'll catch up with you later with a cod or two.
Hopefully, yeah.
Best of luck.
All right, cheers.
So here I am up on the promenade above Withensea Beach, and although the guys on the beach are optimistic they're going to catch, I'm sure the weather's going to provide a massive test to everybody this weekend. You can hear the wind is absolutely howling, there's bits of sleet in the air, it's about 3 degrees, it really isn't pleasant out here. There are so many anglers taking part in this competition though, and they're spread all along the East Yorkshire coast. In fact, they've had to change the rules for the competition this weekend to allow people to fish in the Humber River, just to give them some shelter and half a chance of maybe catching a cod. I tell you what, it's nice to get out of that weather. Just look at the map here and the size of the task in front of us. As always with the European Beach Open, we've got a massive amount of coastline to cover. So here we are at Withensea, and I'm just going to whiz down the coast now to head down to the Spurn Heritage Coast and Spurn Head. The rumour on the beach is that a lot of the anglers have wandered down to that location because apparently there are a lot of fish there, but the guys who are organising the competition said that there's a fair chance they won't even be able to fish that tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if they get a fish or two today. So I'm going to get on the road, whiz down to Spurn Head and see if we can find anything. Now then, Jason, you're a local. Why did you come here?
Just to get out of the wind, so the wind's off my back, and just try and get the flatty, just to try and get something weighed in, basically, because the other side of here is just really rough, very rough.
Now you've got I think it's probably a place up in the bucket that's in size.
Yeah.
A few people have caught flatfish here, and you've actually got one on your other rig. Would you just show us what you've got?
Yeah, it's just a small flounder, just undersized.
Pretty little thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
So what's the minimum limit for the flounder?
31, so he's 27, so he'll be going back.
So he doesn't count. So let's pop him back in a second.
Yeah.
What are your tactics today?
Just 3 hook flappers, size 2 hooks, little bits of worm slaps, just tipped off with a bit of squid or a little bit of crab, a little bit of mussel, something just to tip him off, really.
So quite small baits for this sort of
fish.
Very
and
small.
You've
got a very soft tip rod here, I noticed.
Yeah, it's just an old Shakespeare rod with a very soft tip, yeah, just to see the bites, basically, yeah.
What do you think your chances are of potentially winning the competition with flatfish? Because it's possible, I suppose, the weather the way it is.
Yeah, there's possible a cod could come off the point there. Someone could maybe fluke one out the sea. It's possible, anything's possible. Yeah.
But you're in contention.
Yeah, I'll just, as I say, just to weigh something in, maybe win a prize or something, yeah, something to talk about. Yeah.
Marvellous. Well, I'll let you get that flounder back.
Yeah,
and,
no worries, yeah,
maybe
that's
catch
great.
a few more. What do you reckon it is there? Another flatty?
I don't know, it's quite heavy.
2 fish?
Could even be 3. Yeah, it's 2.
Oh!
Well, that didn't seem right.
All that excitement.
I know, yeah, and undersized fish. So, oh well.
Well, we've had a good walk down the beach, probably about half a mile or so from the other side where the guys were catching the flatfish. And you can see the conditions here are very, very different indeed. There's a huge drop off here and you can see the massive swell as it comes round the corner. And this is where the guys are hoping they may pick up the odd cod, maybe a whiting. You never know in this competition, just one decent fish could be enough to land you that title. Mike, I think you've got something to show us in the bag. What have you got in there?
I've got a little whiting, just in size. There he is.
Cracking. You're local to this part of the world, aren't you? So why did you come here?
Just because of the weather, really. I knew this particular spot would be out the tide run, so I'd be able to fish the full 6 hours of the match here in this particular place, rather than fishing further on the corner and having to move, and then with a change, struggling to get in somewhere else to fish. So it was just kind of local knowledge has really helped me.
Do you think you've got a chance of a cod at this mark then? I mean,
yeah, definitely. Cod had caught here. There was cod here last weekend. Cod caught the weekend before, so there's no reason there shouldn't be any cod here. So, bit of luck, we'll get one.
So as the first day's fishing drew to a close, it was pretty obvious the judges' scales weren't going to be overburdened. Barely 30 fish to size had been landed, and the overnight leader was this man, Carl Whipker, with the largest of the few cod to have been caught.
Now then, Carl, that's a rare creature you've got in there today.
Yeah.
How much does this fella weigh?
1.7 kilo.
So have you ever been so pleased to see a 1.7 kilo cod?
I was quite pleased today.
Tell us how you caught it. Whereabouts were you?
Albury, on the lane end. Just using black and white worm, hitting it as hard as I could, as far out as I could.
How far were you actually casting?
Over 100 yards.
So you've given it a proper belt. I mean, it's been so difficult. What were the sea conditions like where you were fishing?
Pretty rough, pretty rough.
Why did you choose that location? What was it about that sort of sent you there in the first place?
I'd heard of 1 or 2 fish coming out probably about a week ago. And it was a second choice. We'd fished on Spurn today.
The weed came on at Spurn, the tide came on, so we moved up the north, drifted to the road end, and there was a spot there. To my surprise, really.
Well, listen, many congratulations, matey. Well done, and hopefully we'll catch up with you on the beach tomorrow and see you then.
Okay then.
But the European Beach Open isn't just about fishing. The evening's events in the main hall are equally part of the attraction. There's the chance to share a drink or two with old mates, and also rub shoulders with a few of the bigger names in the sport. Total Sea Fishing magazine are one of the main sponsors of the event, and manning their stand were Barney Wright and Mike Thrussell.
So Mike, after day one we've had 3 cod caught. I mean, I was a little bit surprised to see 3, to be honest, with the weather conditions out there.
You and me both. Yeah, I mean, I've done this event about 4 or 5 times now, and we don't get an awful lot of time to fish because obviously we're here to work, but we managed to get a couple of hours in today at Withensea, and believe me, it's some really rough conditions. So anybody that's caught today has done particularly well.
The magazine's a keynote sponsor for this event. Just to explain to us about your involvement, why it's so important for you to be involved in
Well,
this.
obviously it's one of the biggest events. I mean, you're looking at 1,000+ anglers. It is one of the key events of the year, and it's important that the magazines help sort of support and sponsor these events and help to encourage people to come to these events to promote angling overall.
What do you think the anglers get from something like this? Some of them have never fished in a match before. You know, they come and they see all these big name anglers and stuff taking part. What do you think they get from it?
I think it's a social thing first and foremost. A lot of lads probably pick 3 or 4 weekends a year where they will do an event like this, and it's part of what they do with the lads. You know, it's a weekend away, but the fishing's very important to them. They do come here, they try very hard. You know, they'll put a bit of homework in, they'll try and decide which venues are best and how they're going to fish, and it's just a whole gambit. You know, it's a really good, interesting weekend away for them. But also they're up against some of the best anglers in the country, particularly some of the local lads who are absolutely outstanding. And I think they get quite a kick, you know, if one of them gets a good fish. It's good kudos for them.
I think people will always come to this event because it's always on level ground. It could be won by anyone. Now today is a cracking example that anyone could have won it. There's no telling where those fish are actually going to come from. So it could have been a junior, a woman, the greatest angler on the planet if he was here. Anyone could have won it, and I love level playing fields for this sort of competition.
There was so much water out there today, it was crazy, and anybody who's caught a fish has done a good job.
I think they've done brilliantly, and they deserve everything, they really do. I know there's 3 codling caught today, and I thought we would see some bass with a surf like that running. I really, really did. But the fact that a few codling came out proves the fish are there. There could be more fish there, but maybe they're not feeding. I mean, if you were swimming in that sea, you'd have a job to eat a burger, wouldn't you?
I would have thought so, yeah.
So despite the weather conditions, the organisers must have been pleased with things so far.
I think to say that something that started 20 years ago is not only continuing but is growing, that's what's important to us. And that people are coming from much further afield, word spread, and that can only mean that it's the right location. But importantly, I think what makes us so proud is that people are obviously enjoying themselves. They're using the facilities that are on our coastline, they're visiting the area, they're on our beaches, and it just makes us very proud to think that so many people are here and actually enjoying what we have to offer.
Now then, welcome to day 2 of the European Beach Open Championships 2013. The sun's shining, but don't be fooled, it's absolutely freezing cold out here. It was 2 degrees in the car on the way over. We've actually travelled about 20 or so miles into the city centre of Hull, and this fantastic structure behind me is the world famous Humber Bridge. Now you might be asking why we're here in a Beach Open Championship competition. Well, because of the extremes of weather we may be facing today, the organisers have had to do something very different. For the first time ever, and possibly for the last time, they're allowing the anglers to fish here in the Humber right up to the very edge of the bridge. We'll see what happens, we'll see whether that works. It's going to be another really tough one today.
Up on the seawall, I caught up with one of the few female competitors, the England international shore angler Rachel Jarmon.
So Rachel, just talk to us a little bit about your kind of feeling for this event, because it's become something quite special in sort of the round of sea fishing matches.
Yeah, it just seems to have got bigger and bigger. We've been coming for 4 years now. I know a lot of people just really enjoy it as a social event. You've got anglers coming from all over the world. Now I see my Dutch friends here every year, some of the Belgian team who fish on the international scene. Socially it's brilliant in terms of getting advice and information, talking to other anglers. There's always brilliant prizes. The prize table is always very generous, but it's got a nice relaxed feel about it. There's none of this, you know, you're on your peg, you don't talk to anybody, everybody's got their heads down. It's not that sort of event. And it is quite relaxed because it's single heaviest fish. I mean, we've been here, how long have we been fishing now? We've been fishing nearly 2 hours. If it was a bag weight match and I'd been fishing for 2 hours and I did have a fish, I'd be tearing my hair out. But I could get a fish last cast that will be good enough for the prize table just as much as I can first cast, and you only need one. And it gets you away from all those rumours about, oh, someone else has got 10, and you think, well, I'm not going to get 10 now, might as well go home. It's always worth keeping going. There's always something to fish for.
So Rachel, just talk us through what you're doing here.
At the moment, it's low water, so the tide's quite a way out. And I am struggling to get my rig into enough water to catch a fish. So at the moment, I'm using a single hook pulley rig, using a fox pulley bead, which is tied to my main line. Swivel here, this is the trace, quite heavy because flounder are bottom feeders, so you want it on the bottom of the seabed. That clips down to there and presents like that. Nice and streamlined. I'm really interested in this type of lead as well, Rachel, because I mean, this is a pyramid lead, so explain why you've gone with that. This is a 4-ounce pyramid lead. There's not a horrendous amount of tide run out there, certainly not at the moment. The advantage with this is it casts reasonably well. It will sit in the mud like that and plug in, semi-grip in the mud. But if there's nothing happening and not a lot of tide running, you want to twitch it back to get a bit of movement through the rig and possibly attract a fish, you can move this, and on silty mud like that, it'll bump for a bit and it'll dig in again. Which of course you couldn't do if you were using a gripper, because it was more difficult to pull. Once you pulled the grips out, it might go down the tide and affect other people, or go into those posts over there, which probably wouldn't get it back out of. And I think probably with the amount of little bits of weed, and as the tide run picks up, a plain rolling lead would be too much. It's going to shoot round in there as well. So it's kind of halfway between fishing with a gripper and fishing with a plain rolling lead. Starting to snow now. Yeah. I wasn't fooled by the sun being out earlier on. I'm very interested in some of the other kit you're using, because I know a lot of sea anglers, they tend to fish really heavy. Yeah. And this rod looks really nice and light. It's got a very sensitive tip. So talk us through the kind of the setup that you've got here, Rachel. This is my Trabuco Catura. This casts 1 to 4 ounce. I use this rod a lot at home on Chesil Beach down in Weymouth, especially on the smaller tides. Ooh. I think that was a wave. It's all right. Yeah, really, really nice light rod. Casts very well overhead or off the ground. I wouldn't normally use it in an estuary and get it all covered in mud. I've got less precious things. Yeah, it is a nice looking piece of kit. This is quite a lot of money, this rod. I've got other estuary rods that are sort of £50 and you don't mind getting a bit of mud all over the blank and everything. Get a bit gacked up, but I bought this with the intention of using it in the Flatty Bush on Friday. The weather was massively against that. I had to use something much, much heavier than this. The reel is a Shimano bait runner, pinched from the world of coarse fishing really. Nice little reel, very smooth. You wouldn't want to winch up over rocks with it, but we're only fishing over silt and estuary mud here, so it's absolutely fine for that. My husband has borrowed my other fixed spool. He didn't plan on using a fixed spool at all, but that's the thing with this competition. We are a long way from home. The forecasts, even when you look at them, aren't accurate. You have to go with what you've got. There is a limit to what you can fit in the car. You have to bring a mixture of stuff. Most people would think that the Bridlington Open was about cod, and a lot of years it is, but it hasn't been this year. And I think most people today are in the river, keeping out of the wind and the worst of the snow and everything else that's going on, looking for a flatfish, because there were plenty of anglers with a flatfish that got them on the table yesterday.
So with not a lot of fish being landed on the seawall in Hull, I decided to head back up the coast. The conditions on the cliff top at Aldborough were much more blustery. This is where the overnight leader Carl Whipker had suggested he would be finishing his day.
Now then, Carl, how does this compare to the conditions you faced yesterday when you caught your fish?
I think it's very similar, to be honest. I think the wind's slightly stronger, but I think it's just taken the top off the sea a bit. Still a bit rough.
We've seen a few people turn up. When we were waiting for you to arrive here, I knew you were on your way. A couple of people turned up, had one look, felt the wind up the top of the cliffs there and just, no, we're not going to bother, we're going to clear off. And then you've turned up, you and the rest of your team. You seem to be fishing, it's quite comfortable, really.
Yeah, it's deceiving when you're at this level. I think the wind hits the cliff and goes up and totally misses there. Not totally, but it's not as bad as down there.
So like all good match anglers, you've got your next rig ready to go. Just talk us through what you're using today.
Just a simple, very short pennel pulley rig. Keep it nice and short to keep the bait tight to the seabed.
So much churn out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So fishing with blacks or slaps and white rag, and hit it as hard as I can.
Yeah, we saw you casting out a minute ago. I mean, what, 120, 130 yards into the surf out there. What's the sort of the feature that makes this particular location so special then? Why do you think it holds the fish?
There's a gully, hopefully around, I think I should be in it at that. It starts just to my right and goes quite a long way up the beach. It has been holding some fish when it's been calm, so hopefully there'll be another one today.
And in terms of the overall competition, I mean, obviously another fish would be massively useful, but do you think that one fish you got yesterday, do you think that might give you the title?
No.
You don't think it'll be enough?
No. There's still the odd cod in the river. I know of 5 in the last 2-3 weeks on the south bank anyway. And the run of fish we've had before this weather was all sort of £5 plus. So, what, £3.5, I think it could be bait.
Well, we're half an hour into the weigh-in period and this is the weigh-in tent, and you may notice a distinct lack of activity. That really tells the story of the day. You'd expect this place to be buzzing with people weighing in fish. Unfortunately, it's not been the case. We've only had 3 flounder and a couple of whiting weighed in, so it could be that single cod that Carl caught yesterday could make him the European Open champion.
And indeed, that proved to be the case. Over what turned out to be a very tough weekend for all the competitors, Carl's cod of just 1.7 kilos was enough to earn him the title of 2013 European Beach Open champion. It also gave him the chance to drive away in the first prize, this Peugeot 107. Nice work, Carl.